After my experience in Floripa, it was amazing. I loved it. I've said this. It's a paradise. It's cheap. There's beautiful women everywhere. And it's safe. I don't think of any four criteria that another city in the world could fit. I mean, it's freaking insane. But it got me thinking about the Brazilian culture and what I learned from you, what I learned from the Brazilians I met, whether it be the high wealth inequality. I know Brazil has, it's either the seventh or eighth most amount of billionaires in the world, but a lot of their people were living on what, $500 a month if they had a good job. The crazy amount of crime, homicide, girls were selling themselves. I'm talking really pretty girls for $20 an hour, like straight up prostitution. And it was like, no, this is normal. This is what we do to pay our college and whatnot. In Santa Catarina, where Floripa is, there's a bunch of like white enclaves too. I noticed this with the skin stuff, the corruption aspect, which I mean, not many people believe much in fairness in USA politics and the media and whatnot. And in Brazil, it's blatant. It's in your face and it affects everyone. All this stuff I'm starting to see in America. And I want to talk to you because I think you think a little different, but you can kind of see what I'm seeing. Obviously, you're from New Zealand and I'm from the USA, but I think there's a lot to it. I hope it doesn't happen, but I see the USA going towards what Brazil is now.
Yeah, I do see a lot of similarities between Brazil and the US, and I'm probably divided on whether I think that Brazil is turning into the US or whether the US is turning into Brazil. I think there's a lot to unpack here, a lot to explore.
The USA had the most amazing middle class ever in the history of humanity, and it's still pretty freaking strong, but it's being chipped away. But that's what it felt like in Brazil. It seems like there's very rich and obviously favela, but that's like what, 8%, 10%, and the rest of the people are like maybe $500 a month type deal. Maybe not in Sao Paulo and whatnot, but they didn't seem like there's a strong middle class at all. So your points of how the wealthy can easily control the poor because they don't have time to think. They have no time to plan and do whatnot.
Yeah, I also got the sense the keeping the status quo in place serves a lot of the elite interests in the country. They want there to be a lot of crime to scare everyone, to keep them occupied with other things. They want a lot of people to be poor so that a lot of people are afraid of ending up like them. It serves their interest in some way. I think that there's an active attempt to make sure that a lot of people stay miserable and that there is a very large amount of people suffering.
When I saw the Brazilian real went from 5.5 to 4.5, I was sad. So I mean, I can see their point of view, sadly, but it's true. I mean, these people literally live, like I said, I lived unreal at $1,500 a month. Now these people have millions. Imagine millions of freaking dollars in Brazil.
Yep.
It would be like Candyland on steroids. I mean, the most beautiful woman ever, all these beautiful beaches, all this crazy partying, and you're God there. So I can understand why some people want to keep it the way it is.
Yep. From what I understand, there's a lot of crony capitalism, and unfortunately, that seems to be the main idea that Brazilians have of capitalism.
So LA and San Francisco or whatnot, they're putting up billboards now, and there's so many robbings. Like, hey, don't wear jewelry anymore outside. You know, try not to take your phone out and do things like that. That's all I heard in Brazil. If I was going to go to Brazil, do not wear jewelry. Don't take your iPhone out on the street. And now this is happening in United States. I mean, these are happening in cities. Like, to me, that's very comparable.
I have faith that Brazil is eventually going to make it out, become a first world country, or at the very least, some bad shit is going to happen to other countries. The world order is going to get, shaken up. And Brazil, being more used to crises and being stronger in some ways, is going to not fall as hard as other countries. I think you even see it with like COVID. Brazilians kind of treated it within the context of the struggles they already had, whereas a lot of other countries got really terrified of COVID, reacted really hard, kind of hurt their economies. Despite everything that Brazilians struggle with, they stay hardworking, optimistic, and adaptive.
How first world countries dealt with the last 2 years compared to how you said Brazil. Even though when I was in Brazil, I was so mad I had to wear a mask at a gym. I was like, I was distraught. I had to do that. But anyways, the fact that these first world countries just folded, like people were losing their minds, the toilet paper was gone, people were going crazy. And a lot of the third world places, or like Africa, you never heard anything happen about Africa. I mean, obviously probably a lot of people died and whatnot. Yeah, like Brazil, they were still doing the carnival. And it is funny how like as soon as some adversity hits like our first world life that has been perfect the last 70 years, like all shit hits the fan. And that is really worrisome in a time of change like this when they talk about the Great Reset or they talk about this inflation, they talk about so many different things. Can us first world people handle not being able to watch 5,000 things on TV, not being able to order Uber Eats, not being able to go party every weekend? Like, I don't think so. Like, if you put some first worlder into a Brazilian shoes that is not from a government family, I don't know how long they could last.